Selections, the human music recommendation service. My name is Liam Flanagan and I'll be your musical guide, recommending you the best in music wherever and whenever it came from. You're currently watching our interview series where each month I interview a guest curator. These curators know music inside out and we'll be discussing top quality recommendations in depth. With that, we'll move on to People Under the Stairs OST.
Yeah.
Which is an album from 2002.
2002, but again, the reason that I've chosen to put this as a recommendation is this was given a reissue last year, and it is absolutely worth picking up. So this, again, this is one of the things for me about music and the sharing of music and the obsession of music that is so right, and there's so much that can be stagnant about music. Some very good friends of mine, including the Hindsight boys, we would have our get-togethers after going to bars or nightclubs. As we've got older, these things don't happen as frequently as they used to. But unlike Spotify algorithms where people will throw me a playlist or whatever on Spotify, and there are things that will come up and you think, oh, I've heard this, are the algorithms that you've now got on your Spotify are pretty much the same as the algorithms that I've got in mind. So we're hearing the same thing. So you hear less new.
Yep.
This was something.
Basically the same stuff over and over again. It comes around.
Yeah. And this is one that's never popped up on my Spotify algorithm when it's just been playing in the background. This was a friend of mine, James, who introduced me to this one late night. Probably came out 2002. It wouldn't have been far after that, so he's very lucky to have an original copy. And there's a couple of tunes that I would recommend off here, no, three maybe, that are really good. The Dig, which is all about record collecting and digging.
The minute I heard that track, I was like, I think I see why these guys relate to this record. They're a proper diggers group, and they
absolutely. They talk about on the inner notes of this where they've Thes One, the guy behind them, so there's two of them, sadly Double K.
Yeah,
he's died. Yeah, Thes One's still going, still doing stuff, and he's done some incredible stuff, but really stayed true to what he's doing. His production is fantastic. He uses phases a lot, and he's got his sound. But actually, if you listen to tunes like the LA song on here, and you hear how he brings in little bits of percussion over the top of what have been loops from MPCs, and then the two of them rap. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I was like, really, I remember hearing them around that time. I'm going to blame technology for this, because there's no way that I could have heard that at that time and dismissed it the way that I did. I was listening to some trash quality MP3s that just didn't do it justice, because I had the same experience with a Tribe Called Quest. It does no justice to this sound that often uses a lot of jazz, like all that nuance is lost. And the beats are really, they've got that boom bap breakbeat thing. It's really punchy. And they reminded me a lot of Jurassic 5, who I was really into. 20 years later, they found me again through yourselves.
They're all that's good for me about hip hop and digging and that sort of culture. And they're not rapping about guns and women. They probably wouldn't refer to them as that, but they're not that kind of hip hop band. They're talking about what's going on with them, and they're just fantastic.
They rap about LA. They rap about buying records, to sample records to make money to buy more.
This is it, yeah, which is a great story.
Like, maybe there's a little bit of a thing like where they're not unlike Nick Drake and they're doing their own thing, but the difference maybe is that they're willing to play the game a bit more.
Yeah.
So they set up their own label and they play the game, but they do it their way.
Play by your own rules.
Whereas maybe Nick Drake didn't have the vision, the motivation, the ambition.
If you're into your Jurassic 5, your Ugly Ducklings, all these things, this is one to check out. It's definitely up there, and I'll be grateful for that side of friendship and music collecting that it was. And if I was to have another late night with James tonight and he played Acid Raindrops, I'll be like, yeah, it's still as good as it was when you played it that first time to me.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, it's like it's 20 years later, but I'm just like, that still hits the way that I imagine it would have in 2002.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't feel old. It feels very fresh. That brings us now to The Devil's Workshop by DJ Format.
And what can I say about this record? It's fantastic. It's really interesting, from the artwork that goes on the front of it to the samples that have been used to it, the theme that runs through it, this darkness that runs through it. But for me, what it comes down to is I'm a huge DJ Shadow fan, and in particular introducing as an album, and what he was able to do just through samples still again stands up with one of the greatest albums of all time, not just in hip-hop. I don't know if you'd call it a hip-hop album. For me, it goes beyond that. It's just an incredible album. And since it came out and I became borderline obsessed with that album, I've always been looking for what else is out there that can take those sounds and those samples and find these things that haven't been heard before and mix them up and change them. Since introducing, I've been looking for another album like this, and there's been some things that have come close with people like RJD2 and some people who've mixed the samples alongside live instrumentation, but never by a Brit.
That is the way he definitely stands out.
Yeah, for a British guy known primarily for his hip hop to bring out an album like this. Came out in 2021, was up there as one of the best albums of that year for me. And one of the things that I really like about this, I know I've put down The Curse as my recommendation. I think that I put that one down because I think it was, I don't know if people have lead singles anymore, but it was certainly the one when I ordered this on Bandcamp. You got 2 digital versions in the interim before, from the pre-order to when it got sent, of which I think it was The Light and The Curse that were the 2. And I was just like, I cannot wait for this album to drop. But then I heard things like Blind Man on here, which God knows who the vocalist is or where he's found this vocal sample, but it's fantastic. It sounds like Mark Flanagan.
Really old, creaky.
When you listen to that album,
really adds to that.
It does. It's got that sort of sinister darkness to it. But what he does through that song in particular on Blind Man, there's a riff, and then that riff has got something that sits on top of it, and then another bit of percussion that sits on top of it, and it builds and builds. And then he does, and this is a really strange parallel that I'm going to bring to this album here. Black Sabbath were very good at having a riff, and then the chorus would just be a completely different riff that would, and then those 2 riffs or those 3 riffs would become a song, and things would just change. And even the solos would be, here's that riff, but as a solo. And he does that with Blind Man.
He was extending the riffs.
He does that with Blind Man and The Curse, where you get used to hearing this one refrain or this one riff, and then all of a sudden the tempo will change or the feel of the song will change, and he'll bring in something different, and then he'll bring that original refrain or that original sample that you're hearing back into it, and it flows really nicely. How this passed a lot of people by. I don't know if it's because we were coming out of lockdown and it couldn't get toured the way it should have done or heard the way it should have done, whether it's because it was so different to what he'd done previously, I don't know, but it's incredible.
It was one of my favorites from last year, and it's the artwork and the music.
Yeah,
it's so spot on and so brilliant. There's probably multiple components to why it didn't blow up, but it is completely different. I remember those first couple of albums of his coming out, and it was the sort of charity shop break and scratches. It's a very English thing, which I don't think you can say about that. I know you mentioned earlier in the introduction, you said about Eastern European records and being sampled on it. And I do pick up on that, having known some people who live out there and they've and been introduced to bits and bats through that. Yeah, there is this dark, empiric, witchy vibe going on, which it's not that we don't have that. Dracula was written in Whitby from where I am, and we do have our own witches and stuff. But a country like Romania, for instance, would be rife with that sort of sampleable sort of content. So I could see why he might be. And his old Balkan records
and his digging skills to find those things, or just to have the opportunity to go and look for them and to be that dedicated that you'd find them. It's done well.
There's a great skill in the way that he knits it all together.
Yeah, I think he's incredibly underrated, and you find this with some Brits, especially around hip hop, where it never gets the applaud it should.
And that brings us to Dismantle by, I'm going to murder this now.
Good luck.
The
I say Chromenon, but I'm not a member of the Chromenon band, so who knows? But they're a bit of a mystery anyway. So again, this was I've got to thank Gant from Hindsight for putting me onto this. So I think it was a 2019 release, and I'm not one for 7 inches normally. I only play 7 inches when I DJ. I think for me that's just doesn't matter. Who cares? But he had this. And it was one of these that I bet that he was just waiting to drop this when we were DJing just to see if nobody else is my reaction. He would have known that this was going to be right up my street. And he played Green Smoke, which was the lead single. Although I have to say Thunder Perfect, the B-side, is incredible as well. And I was just like, who is this? What is this? What's going on? And there's just not much that you can find out on the internet about them. Nope. I think at the time I couldn't Shazam them and find it, so it was thanks to Ant that I found this. They re-released the 7-inch maybe last year. They did another pressing of maybe 300 that God put out, so I picked that up straight away despite the fact that it was on at 7. And then earlier this year, and again this is one of the reasons why I recommended this is a 2022 release on We Stay True. This
was the hardest thing to research. There's just no information.
See, if Ant from Hindsight listens back to this and he hears that and he sees this, he'll be buzzing about that, because like I said at the start, there's this element that we as DJs are walking this tightrope of wanting to show off about what you've got, but also wanting people to hear something that's new. So anything when we're putting on mixes and it can't be found on Shazam, we're like, yes, we've done it, we found that. So that's great. And there's not much about them. I think there might be copies available still via their Bandcamp if you can get on that. It does.
I think when I was doing the research, I saw it's all sold out except the digital.
Still worth getting, because it's a great album.
No, I agree.
But if you can, if they do a repressing, just jump on it. Don't sleep on this one, because it's well worth hearing. It's supporting a UK act, a UK band. The only one, it's not a criticism because they've done a classic here. There's 8 tunes on this, and one of them's only 42 seconds long, and one of them's 1 minute 38. So your bang for your buck is pretty low, but talk about always leave your audience wanting more. This is definitely one that
I'm always one for more quality over quantity.
Absolutely. I'd say there's no filler on this.
Nicely to the DJ format album as well, because they're both taken from library music influence, and they're both quite heavy. But I'd argue this is heavier.
Oh yeah.
Heavier, thicker sound, but then there's like a hip hop influence as well as all the library and the other stuff.
So they've been produced really well.
A nice package deal.
They are. And actually the Green Smoke that's on here, it's maybe 3 or 4 chords, and it's got this really driving bass that runs through it. And I'd like to hear that live.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's a very good bass player, and it's actually quite a simple bass line on Green Smoke, but it's hard to keep that rhythm going for as long as he keeps it going really hard.
I have 100%, probably actually through going to the Inkwell, I grew an appreciation, because I'd often go in and Paul would be playing records very loud, and then he'd be playing something like Isaac Hayes. He'd be nodding his head, and you just end up nodding your head. This drummer isn't doing anything amazing. This bass player isn't doing anything technically fantastic, but they are so locked, and they do that 8, 10, 12 minutes. They're just going at it. That is a different type of skill.
Absolutely. If you were to speak to any rhythm section of note, they would say the hardest thing is to find a groove, to keep in that groove and keep it locked.
That actually ties in quite nicely with the one that we're going to talk about that's going behind the paywall, because there's a legendary rhythm section that really held it down on that one. But I'm going to leave that as a little teaser for the audience. And then something will pop up on YouTube. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want to support Eclectic Selections and join our community, there are various ways that you can do that. Number 1, you can like, comment and subscribe right here on YouTube. This helps our video get noticed by the YouTube algorithm, and it helps other music lovers like you find great music. You can 2, follow us over on Twitter. Here you'll get the latest news and you'll get extra recommendations. You'll be able to keep up to date with everything Eclectic Selections. You can join our Ko-fi, which is just like Patreon, so you can support us and you'll get access to extra content like private playlists with loads of recommendations, extra video recommendations from our guests
all that good stuff. And there's more coming in the future. Join our Discord community where you can chat with other music lovers and myself about music and other subjects too. All the links for all of that down in the description in our link tree. Thanks again for watching, and until next Thursday, keep it eclectic.